Good evening and welcome to the October 10th Planning Board meeting for the Town of Raymond. The Planning Board will come to order. The board this evening does not have a quorum. We'll go through roll call in a minute, but for the tape, we have 3 vacancies on the Planning Board. So there's only one member that is active member that's missing this evening. So we are going to proceed with the meeting. We will do, out of necessity, every vote that we take will need to be unanimous. If it's not a unanimous vote, we'll have it logged as not passing. Just for the fact that we'll stick with the requirement to have 3 affirmative votes for each thing that we go through. This is a public proceeding, and unless the board specifically votes to go into executive session, you have the right to hear anything that is being said and to look at all of the exhibits that are presented. Please notify the chairman if you are unable to hear or to see. The board works from a published agenda and will be considering tonight's items in the following order. We have a final application from David Baker for a amended subdivision and a request from Loon Echo Trust for termination of subdivision, followed by any future workshop information with planners, communications, and then adjournment. In each instance, the burden is upon the applicant to demonstrate compliance with the provisions of the applicable ordinances. After the board votes on the merits of each project application, it will prepare a written notice of decision. Generally speaking, appeals must be filed with Superior Court within 30 days of this board's decision. Also, to be certain that you preserve your individual rights to file any such appeal, you must be certain that the board records evidence of your participation this evening. That is usually done by speaking from the podium. If you are not going to address the board, then please let Mary know that you have been here. All persons speaking, including representatives of the applicant and members of the public, are asked to stand, state their name, address, and affiliation with the project, if any, and please do so from the podium. All right, so to start off with, any objections from the board to continue?
No.
With this?
No.
Okay, so we'll do roll call then.
Greg Foster.
Robert O'Neill.
Ed Kranich.
Jim Seymour, our town planner, and Scott, I always mispronounce your name. Dvorak as code enforcement, and Mary is taking the notes. All right, so we will start with the public hearing. We'll do the intro to the project first, Jim, and then I'll ask you to wrap it up, and then we'll open it up for the public.
Sure. Okay. This project came before you back in, I believe, July this year. What they essentially want to do is split one lot off, an existing lot, and one of the things that happened to this development was it was originally a different village zone when it originally came through. And when the zoning change came through, it allowed for the lot size to be reduced from 3 acres to 40,000 square feet. So that essentially allows, in this case, a lot to be split. The question that arose was Alfred Mann Drive is an existing private road. The question was it built to town standards? Does it meet private street standards? The applicant came in. There's one small encroachment onto an abutting lot in that area that will ask that road be pushed back onto the property at hand here. The area is in a watershed of Panther Pond. However, it is outside the 600-foot setback. Therefore, it will not need to meet the phosphorus standard. However, in the discussions that we had with the applicant back in July, they agreed to provide a buffer in the rear of the lot where the water is breaking away. They will be providing a hammerhead on this property for the termination of the private road. And essentially that's about it. They have provided us information on the lot itself that meets septic, lot sizing, setbacks, all that stuff. At this time, I would just allow the applicant to make their presentation and open up the public hearing after that.
Sounds good.
All right, I've been asked to stand up here just for ease of any televised
Yep.
at home. So.
And I'm sorry, are you Alfred?
I'm Dustin Roma.
Dustin,
with DM
okay.
Roma Consulting Engineers. Yep. Representing Dave Baker on this application. As Jim had indicated, we've
completed the septic system design on the lot. We've also noted a potential well location just to demonstrate that we've got the adequate separation between septics and wells on the property. When we had the septic designer on site, we did have him take a look at any potential wetland soils. He did identify this portion here as likely meeting the criteria for wetlands, but it's all located inside that protected forested buffer maintaining anyway. So we're not looking to impact any wetlands as a result of the project. We're agreeable to the conditions of approval that were recommended in the staff memo. Specifically, it asks for a deed restriction on the stormwater buffer, which we are agreeable to. It also requires the investigation of the roadway, where we are providing the widening in this location and also the construction of the new hammerhead to meet the town standards. So we've included the road section on there, which shows compliance with the town standards. They've actually already pushed back the slope that was there previously. They did that about 2 Fridays ago. They've cleared out this area where the road was to be widened, and they've dug 2 test holes, one here and one here, down 2 feet below the gravel. So we do have a high level of confidence that there's good material underneath the roadway, and certainly the fact that it's paved is more than what the town would typically require for the number of lots to be served here. So noting that, you know, we do have a couple of feet of gravel underneath this roadway where it had been built up, and the addition of pavement, and there were a couple areas of the pavement which has been fixed over time, but you didn't have cracks or anything like that on the surface of the pavement that would suggest that there was any sort of unsuitable material or a lot of frost heaving or anything like that going on for the roadway. So you know, we feel confident it's a well-built road. The other conditions of approval, again, have added them on here to the plan as generally listed in your memo. We're including the demonstration of adequate financial capacity at the time that the site contractor is building on the lots, and also having to do with permanently marking the location of that forested buffer in the field, in addition to doing the deed restriction on it. They are prepared to begin construction as soon as they can get approvals. So with that, certainly turn it back over to the board and answer any questions you might have.
Okay. Are there any questions before we open to the public? Okay. At this time, then, I'd open the public hearing. If there's anybody that would like to speak, sir, would you? Do you have a question, or?
I'd like to speak.
Yes, please do. Could you come to the podium, just state your name, your address?
My name is Jack Higley. Live at 14 Alfred Man Road.
Okay.
And our property is directly across from the proposed house.
Okay.
On the widening of the road, the widening of the road is only being done on the hill part, the steepest part of the hill for the driveway, or the road that goes in there. With that home being built, there's now 4 homes on that road, and the road isn't wide enough for somebody 2 cars to pass. So
2 cars to pass.
It's not wide enough for
Okay.
2 cars to pass. I'm very concerned about the traffic coming in and out. There's no pull-off areas where somebody can get out of somebody else's way if one car's coming in, one car's going out.
We pull off is on the pipeline, where we had.
I'm sorry if you've got to.
Yeah.
Well, we'll give you a turn, though.
That's okay. 40 years of marriage, I'm trying to.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry.
So concerned about just that one small section being widened out for the road, I don't feel is adequate. There's a tremendous amount of traffic now up over the hill to the Baker residency. I'm not sure what all the traffic is in and out of that home, but there's a lot of traffic now, and we're adding one more home in there. I'm just concerned that there's not adequate space for 2 cars to continue to pass. There's a fair amount of traffic as far as heavier equipment, larger trucks, dump trucks, et cetera, that are going in, going out. And frequently is a problem now with 3 homes. One more home being added is just going to add to the challenge. So,
Okay.
The road does have grass in it.
The road, yeah, the road is in, I would consider the road is in relatively poor condition. There's significant cracking from 121 all the way to the top of the hill where our driveway begins. There are 3 places that were patched last fall, but over the course of time, all the heavy trucks that have been on that, well, when it was logged several years ago, 70, 80,000 pound trucks in and out of there with logs on it. Didn't do the road any good. It wasn't built for that kind of weight. And since then, there's been hundreds of trucks from P&K hauling material up over the hill for the road, the building of the road that goes up over the hill, the extended road that David Baker has put in, and for their home lot. So I don't agree with the assessment of the road being in reasonably good shape. It's not in good shape. There's a lot of rocks that are poking up through, and there's tremendous cracking. And if you look at the road, it's not flat, it's not level. There's definitely you see where the tires are beating into the hot top. So
Okay.
we have no problem with the house being built.
Oh,
We
okay.
just
Yeah.
we have,
It's just a problem with the road.
yes,
The width, I take it, and the condition.
the width and the condition are both serious problems. And water runoff in heavy rain is, there's
Okay.
it's not dished properly, so. Thank you.
You're welcome. Your chance, you want, oh,
I go first, maybe you can cover it.
Hi, I'm Ron Etzen. I live across the street from Alfred Mann Road, actually on Boulder Road. But my worry is that the road isn't wide enough for cars now going in and out.
I'm sorry, could you just, where are you located?
Uh,
The other side of 120.
Across,
On the other side of 121?
yes,
Okay, thank you.
it's about 100 and plus feet from Alfred Mann Road to where Boulder Road is. My
Okay.
house, the front of my house is on 121, but I'm officially on 2 Boulder Road.
Thank you.
But I've seen just normal vehicles going in and out, and they can't pass each other. One has to wait for either to come in or to go out. That should be widened right there.
Are we talking about Meadow Road now?
Yes, going off of Meadow Road onto Alfred
Oh,
Mann
okay.
Road.
All right. Yeah,
It's
same
it's
thing.
just, it's not wide enough for exiting and entering 2 vehicles at the same time.
Okay.
That's my, well, let's call it my main concern. That's all I wanted to bring up.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Anyone else? All covered? Want to give it a shot?
Okay, I'm Karen Higley, I'm Jack's wife, so I live at 14 Alfred Mann Road as well. I guess the biggest thing for us is we had the road paved. We originally paved the road. We didn't realize that.
When you say we, the road association?
No,
Or
there's no road association.
You
which-
paved the, you did the,
Yes.
Okay.
Jack and I had
Gotcha.
the road paved maybe 10 years ago. I'm not really sure. Maybe 12 years ago, so quite a while ago. And Blue Rock did it, so they did a really good job. They came in and did a great job. Cost us a lot of money to have it done. At the time, there was only the two houses on the road, the wings that were at the end of the road, and then we're further back in. So we kind of did it for aesthetics, for not having to deal with the dirt road all the time. And because we were pretty much, the Bakers had a lot that was up in the back, but it wasn't being used. And the reason we bought the house was because we really liked the privacy piece of everything. And we certainly understand that you can't stop progress from people building homes, and we get that. But I run a business out of the house, and I'm a massage therapist, so I was looking for something that was going to be very quiet, which is what this property has been for quite a long time, until the last few years. When they had it logged off, it was every single day, the trucks that they were talking about, taking the logs in and out of there, and you could just see the road just getting beat up. And then after that, after it was supposed to be put in a tree farm, then we found out that he was going to build a home, so then it was all of the trucks that went up for an entire summer, or more than that, a whole year of getting the house built up there, at least. Since then, we still have trucks going up over the hill, which we're not really sure, and again, maybe it's none of our business, but if it's just the one house that's going up there, we're kind of concerned that and then we saw that he had named the subdivision. This has never been a name we'd ever heard before. And we've been there for 14 years. So I'm not really sure where Panther Pond Ridge came from. And he does own all the land up there, so he can certainly name it, but we don't have a subdivision. I'm not sure if we have to have a subdivision now. Somebody said we had to have a subdivision, so I don't even know what
No.
that's about.
Yeah, that would not concern you.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay. So we've been maintaining the road.
okay. That would okay.
In the
That's-
since the Bakers have moved up there to live, they've pitched in and helped out, and of course have done that. And because they ran all the trucks up over there, he last year fixed some of the spots some of the rocks that had come up through, big boulders that had come through. They're on the side of the road, so if somebody goes up there to look, you can see we can point them out to you how big they were that forced up through this road. So that's our concern, is just that, and we've put in hydrangea trees that are now been in there for 12 years. They're absolutely gorgeous. We have granite posts we've put in. We've really tried to, on our side of the road, the property runs the wings back this way, and they're selling off the lot to David Baker. And our property runs the opposite. Our house is in the back and runs down to 121, so like two pencils if you see the lots. So on our side, we have landscaped and done and just done it to make it look nice and have it be a little oasis when my clients come to the house, which has been really nice. We get a lot of compliments on that. I really don't want all of that to get beat up. We put in electric and ran electric down the road on our side. Jack mows the pipeline, which is on our property. He mows and trims all the way up both sides of the property. So we're just concerned of keeping that nice aesthetics and look, as well as the other Ron's comments about it really isn't wide enough. So to say that it's a regular town road where two cars can go and pass each other, they can't. So it's always somebody has got to pull over and get out of the way. Once it snows, it's even worse, because now you've got ice and slippery and you have snowbankings. So anyway, those are the thoughts. We just,
Gotta be an
Okay.
exciting stop some days at 121.
exactly. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Anyone else? Last one, man. You okay? All right. I close the public hearing. So I guess I'll ask you your thoughts on the road width and the road condition. And, I mean, so it's, and I've just come into this, so, but it sounds like, was there some discussion on that the road was constructed by the Higleys?
No,
In
we
this-
didn't have it constructed.
No,
You
they
did-
they
you
just
said it
paved, they had it paved,
Okay.
and that's, well,
We
I'll let
bought, we bought our house from Dave Baker.
Oh, okay, okay. All right, I'll let you, I'm sorry, I'll let you.
Yeah, because
maybe-
Dave Baker, I believe originally, that was his house.
Yes.
Yeah, so he originally built that house for himself, lived there, he built the road to get into it.
Okay,
So the Panther Ridge View, or Panther View Ridge subdivision was the subdivision which created all these lots originally. So that's where the name came
Right.
from. And the remaining land in the back was all just that. I mean, it was the Alfred Mann Drive, it was just called out as a right-of-way on the subdivision plan to that back land.
was that a lot in the subdivision, that back?
Yeah, there
a
were
lot back
several
there?
lots that came off 121 that went down.
Yeah,
This one had the split by the right-of-way.
right. Yeah, so this was the access to get into that back land. So when Dave sold the house, he continued to own, and still continues to own the road, and he owns the large piece in the back. So I think a lot of the traffic, it sounds like, had to do with, which I hope would be on a temporary basis, construction traffic to deal with, logging and tree cutting and construction of a large garage that's up there, way up on top of the hill. Actually, I mean, because it abuts another subdivision on the other side, on the top of the hill there. So, and so the town's road standard for access for a project of this size is a 12-foot wide travelway. So I think it's not. So the town standard in that case is not intending for two-way traffic to pass on a 12-foot wide road.
But it sounds like the concern is more that there's a lot more traffic on the road
Yep.
than being generated by the four.
Right. So I think, Dave will be committed to continuing to make repairs and improvements, as he had done before, where some of those rocks were coming up through, and I believe he had made those repairs to the paved surface. Because conceivably that was done, or certainly made worse by the amount of construction traffic. So he's committed to, maintaining the road, and, where he continues to own the fee ownership of the road. This is going to, be a little bit different than it's been in the past, because before it was really the Higleys, really the only ones using it. Now there's access beyond it, and now there's going to be another house here. So I think having a road association makes a lot of sense now, because just to formalize all these agreements, because it doesn't, the Higleys shouldn't have to maintain the road, all themselves. Now they get all these other users.
Yep.
So that was a
It was in our
condition.
mortgage.
Yeah.
It was in our mortgage that we had to maintain the road.
Oh.
Because there wasn't any, what did you just
Right.
call it?
So as I
Association.
say,
Yep, yeah, because right now, that was the only lot that was given rights through that subdivision to use that road. And the Wings property actually had to come off in a shared access easement in the location where it's shown. So that was all kind of predetermined in that subdivision. But where David continues to own the road, certainly he can give access to this lot that he's purchasing in the back, because it's his roadway.
I
okay.
have a quick question about access for firefighting equipment.
Yeah, we will get to that. It's on our list.
It's on that list.
Because those
Right.
hills are way more than, I think, what the town requires. I don't see a tanker going in there.
So,
Yeah.
let's get to
Yeah.
the road standards.
Yes.
Let's dig in. It depends on the number of lots being served by the private road. So, from 1 to 3, it's 12 foot wide with 2 foot shoulders. From 4 to 10, it's 16 feet travel width with 3 foot shoulders. So, I was under the impression that we had 3 lots. Do we have more than 3? Because if we have more than 3, we're at 4.
I've heard four.
Yeah, so it's my understanding that back land, it has a driveway, it continues going up through this roadway, but it also has access from the other subdivision there on the other side. That was my understanding of that back. I believe it actually has an address. It doesn't have an Alfred Mann address, I believe it's.
Well, when the
abuts.
subdivision was made, where was that back, what happened to that back land? Was it not included?
It wasn't part of the subdivision, no. It was other land. I know I didn't bring it with me here tonight, but I had submitted it in a previous application. It was just remaining land. It was actually owned by Alfred Mann at the time. And the subdivision was just for the lots that fronted on Meadow Road, and they left this 60-foot wide right-of-way to just remaining land in the back.
Well, it would seem to me if the road is going into that property, that's gonna have to count in the amount of traffic, because we already have testimony that there is much more traffic
Yep.
than will be generated by 3 homes. So if that road is going into other another lot owned by the same person.
So I've got, it was in the packet, and we've got the July packet here, and for the abutters and everybody, this was approved in 1999, and it was Panther View Ridge subdivision. Alfred Mann at that time, retained the land in the back over the Central Maine Power corridor through there. And that right-of-way went through, all the way through between what was Lot 3, which would be the Higley's lot, and Lot 4, which is now one that Dustin's representing, went all the way through to that much larger track in the back. Now, I don't know how many, if there's a house up there that's being served by this road, then that would constitute,
Yes.
obviously, the fourth lot. The fourth, by your definition, the fourth lot being
Right.
served off that, so it would have to go, at that time, then it would have to go to the larger, at least to the portion where they're claiming frontage for this lot, would have to meet the 16-foot travelway with shoulders. Now, you could obviously do whatever you want with the shoulders, but I don't think you have much latitude with the travelway.
Right, I'd agree.
So that would be something that would either have to be added or some other means. What is the actual, do you know, I mean, on the plan it shows 16 feet, is that the actual paved width?
I believe it's paved about 14
And that's another
feet
difference
wide,
too,
I
is
believe.
The
Yeah.
standard is for gravel surface for these types of roads. So
Right.
pavement is a luxury when it works, not so much when you have to do maintenance on it. But I don't know what the board can do as far as, you know, your requirement is for the gravel surface, and, you know,
Well, in the gravel, it could be solved like with just a
an
longer shoulder.
overlay,
Right,
an
yeah.
overlay or something,
Yeah.
I don't know.
So we're showing a road section through there that'll be either constructed or improved to maintain 16-foot wide. And so we're showing a minimum of 12 of that being paved with the 2-foot shoulders.
16 feet of drivable or 16 feet with including a ditching and shoulder?
No, 16 feet of gravel to gravel,
Gravel to gravel.
drivable, yeah, exactly.
Shoulder,
Yeah.
outside edge of shoulder,
Shoulder.
Yeah,
outside edge
so,
of shoulder.
so full depth gravel, 16 feet wide,
And
is
then-
what we're committed to, yeah.
So how are you going to address the little bit of the 12 foot of paving
Right,
within the 16 feet of?
right, because that runs inside of it, and basically, like we said, the paving is not necessarily required. I think what we need to do is show we've got the 16-foot wide travel surface. We have a portion of it that is paved.
Right. So what
Right.
I think what the only amenable way to do that, if we don't require them to pave it, which you don't have that
No.
authority, would be to have it be 12 feet of pavement, and then it would have to be, because of the way it runs up against the property line, the other side would have to have a much longer, wider, expanded gravel section. It would essentially act like a wide gravel shoulder, basically, but would allow for vehicles to pass and for proper emergency response to get in there, because if it has, that's kind of the reason that we get to that wider section, is so the fire trucks can get up there. And just for information, the maximum slope is 10% on private roads, which I believe that would meet that standard. It gets to the upper limit, but it meets that
Right.
criteria. And then, of course, they've shown the hammerhead to be constructed meeting our private road standards for emergency.
Right, the emergency vehicle, that's,
So the
fire
question is going
department's
to be,
happy.
how do we get to the 16 feet travel? So we'd have to have 12 feet of paved, 4 feet of additional travel lane, and then still a little bit more for shoulder.
Right,
But the extra shoulder could be up to the board to determine.
but we only have one side to work with.
Essentially, you only have one side, until you get you get a pinch point here at the CMP crossing.
We would only want to work on one side anyway, because they've done a great job with the granite posts and everything on their side, and we wouldn't
Right.
want to
Yeah,
disturb
I
any
think
of
they've
that.
got a lot of landscaping on that side, so we'd want to extend it into the Baker side, not onto the Higley side.
We would greatly appreciate that.
Okay.
Put a lot of money into that area.
Well, I mean, once you get beyond that corridor, I mean, they're within the right of way. But like I said, they've got improvements in this, so it would make sense to go to the other side.
So whose idea was
We're
it to do
also-
this meeting tonight?
No.
We're also coming off the pipeline on that side, so they had to build it up just to get that in there.
Yes.
So
All right.
it just
All
falls
three of
away.
us.
It's not going in.
So what do you want to do? Thoughts? How we solve this?
I think so.
Well, it's ultimately either up to them to provide something or you to dictate something.
Right, exactly. Well, we
We've
can
already-
dictate into the, what's the standard, so we
Right,
can dictate
we've already got
16.
in there,
Show how they meet the
I've already drafted you a condition saying that they have to provide evidence that they meet the depth.
Yeah, I saw that.
So you could even take it one step farther and say that they have to improve the travel width to 16 feet with additional XYZ shoulder.
So so my concern, just from a practical point, if you're driving down that road, you're gonna drive on the pavement, you're not gonna drive on the gravel, even though the gravel is,
But you have it,
yeah,
but you have the availability with an emergency vehicle or construction vehicle to pull off the shoulder without tumbling. Right now,
Yep.
you've got nothing.
right.
You come off, you've got really no shoulder there right now.
Yep, yeah, and so we're agreeable to that. So the cross-section we've got on the drawing now shows a 16-foot wide gravel, full-depth section,
Okay,
which we're committed
And
to.
the other thing that, per request, that I would suggest is that, and I don't know, is there a culvert under the entrance?
Yes, coming off from 121?
Yeah.
Yes. So
I
they're
would
crushed by
sug-
the
yeah.
dump truck, by the logging trucks, and the town or the state came in and replaced it
State would do
afterwards.
that, yeah, it's a state road,
Yeah,
the
the
state
state
would
did
place
it,
that.
right.
I think I would recommend, because looking at this, it does have pretty tight radiuses coming off that, is that we could extend that culvert in one direction and make that radius a little bit more sweeping. It's pretty tight.
Yep.
I mean, it kind of comes in like a driveway would, not really with a big, we'd see more of a radius turn with a private road or subdivision road. So just to improve that, to
and
have
that
a
would
little
solve
better.
the two thing problems.
Right.
Are you okay
And
with
if
that?
you're gonna widen
north
anyway,
side.
you're gonna have to do it on that side.
Yeah, on the north side.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
especially on the north side, there's really not much radius on that side.
Yep. And what, yeah, that's the side we'd continue to do.
That's a
work.
side you'd have to widen anyway, so you'd have to do something with that anyway.
All right, so we're gonna do 16, you're doing 16 gravel. The road's gonna be, the paved road will be there. There'll be a passing lane, basically, or a pull-off lane. One car is gonna be on the gravel, the other car will be on the road. The other thing then would be, what about a post-construction repair to the blacktop? Is that, can we get that agreed to? So that if in fact these heavy trucks, whatever, now have done, do damage on the way into the blacktop, it's put back into its,
Yeah, I think there should be a requirement that the road needs to be, brought back to pre-construction condition.
Right.
So if there's damage that's done, it needs to be repaired.
right.
Yeah,
Yep.
'cause
So we
that's,
can, we can do that. Okay.
that's gonna be the toughest part is, cause you've got a rough edge on that paved section now.
Right,
We're probably just gonna have to see a detail how we're gonna make that work. Cause are we gonna cut that, or are we gonna work with a rough edge? It's gonna, yeah, I mean, and I guess what I would like to have from the board is a clear definition of how much gravel are we adding, travel and shoulder. on
okay,
that
so
side.
we're going 16 for travel,
Yep, which means 4 additional feet.
4 additional, right.
Yep, for the
And then
travel.
For travel, and
Yep.
then 4 feet additional for the shoulder.
Well, the requirement is 3.
You're right, 3 feet, 3 feet
So you
additional
want
for-
7 feet total gravel added on that side.
Correct.
Okay, just want to be clear.
And then, and also the widening the flare out to 121.
Okay.
And then returning the blacktop to pre-construction condition. However, we're gonna do that.
Yeah, that's going to be,
That's why you get paid the big bucks, Jim.
whose determination is that going to be based on?
Um,
Because, I mean, there's going to be sections of that
Scott.
road.
Is there anyone else named Scott in here?
But I mean, because it's going to be a little bit difficult because obviously there's probably some sections now that are.
Well, we go down and take pictures now.
Well, we could document, yeah, we could
Yeah,
do that.
just take some pictures and,
Few foot-
I mean, I don't think, you guys are not unreasonable on this.
No, not at all, because
So,
we paved it, like we said, maybe 11, 12 years ago.
Yeah, so there's gonna be-
Certainly wear and tear on
Right.
it, but a lot of that wear and tear did come from them coming up
Yep.
over the
Yep.
hill so much.
I'm
but
guessing-
that is not, returning a road to the pre-construction conditions is not unusual for us. We've done this
Yeah.
many times.
Okay.
All right, so that takes care of that. You're okay with those changes? All right. Good.
So we can keep our hydrangea trees?
Yes, it won't be on your side. There was
Okay.
nothing done to your side.
It'll make the new property look really nice, they'll like it.
All right, and did I see something on a home association, the road association? Did you propose that in here?
We provided a draft document,
that what I-
but yeah, it's,
Okay.
we'll formalize that, and it'll have to be something that they'll work through together and make sure
Right.
everyone's on board. So
Yeah,
they'll
essentially, we don't have the authority to,
Right.
we often ask to see a draft, and we beg to get a
Final
notarized
copy,
or a
right.
notarized or recorded draft, but we really don't have the
Never
teeth.
happens.
Right.
All right,
But I think we put as a condition on the plan that no certificate of occupancy would be granted until it's actually done, so.
yeah, okay,
Till it's executed
Yeah.
and signed by.
great,
residents.
thank you. All right, I think that takes care of our main concerns.
Now, from a standpoint, I know you have the subdivision criteria, which you can quickly go through because
Yep.
this is really an amendment to this.
Right.
But I also provided you with some recommendations for conditions of approval. And I know he's added these to the plan, so I would just kind of stick to them, even though they may have been completed already. Just because they're already documented on the plan. But those conditions were, obviously, you've got the first one, which is we'll need to see verification of the road depths for cross-section purposes. They've added the dimensions to the plan for the hammerhead dimensions and grading. The stormwater buffers, we requested that be a deed restriction, which I believe they put on a note on tonight's plan. Adequate proof of financial and technical capacity prior to the building permit, and then our sunset provision note, which we just added in last year, which is kind of the expiration and when you have to commence and when the subdivision expires.
Right.
Because this now that gets applied to this now.
So before we actually get into that, Jim, can we I just want to make sure we've covered what the fire and rescue have requested. They've, I saw in the plan
Yeah.
you put a
Yeah,
note.
they have agreed to put the note in there and the home will be sprinkled.
Okay, and,
I believe that's all they requested.
yep, that is all they requested, that's it. Okay. So that note's up. All right, so let's, here's, if we go through, here's, the first thing that comes out is item number D, will not cause unreasonable soil erosion or reduction in the capacity of land to hold water so that dangerous or unhealthy conditions may result. That is covered in your second condition? Is it, no, excuse me, in your third one, right? All proposed stormwater buffers are to be set in the field with iron
Yeah,
pins.
they're providing us a buffer for that piece that that turnaround up top. So they've put basically a big chunk of their lot into preservation, which is
Wh-
good.
What about the connotation of the wetlands?
That has been documented on the plans as well. They put a leader and a note on the plan saying where it is, and it's not a problem with the lot. It's on the back side of the lot, so we're all set.
We're all set?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Item echo then will not cause unreasonable highway or public road congestion or unsafe conditions with respect to the use of the highway or public roads existing or proposed. And you have addressed that.
They will with your condition.
With that condition we just added, that'll be covered.
Correct.
All right. The next one that didn't is item kilo. The subdivider has adequate financial and technical capacity to meet the required standards. I think we just got that today, right? Is that what you gave me, Mary?
No.
No.
This will be a condition as well.
That's a condition,
Prior to
okay.
the building permit, because it's only one lot, we didn't feel it was hugely an issue.
And then the only other thing that's outstanding is the proposed subdivision that crosses municipal boundaries. The proposed subdivision will not cause unreasonable traffic congestion, and that's NA not applicable to this addition. Is that okay with the board? Should I,
On Q for the
did I miss something?
stormwater management, Jim recommended that we note that the buffer
Yeah,
have iron pins and.
Yes, and they've agreed to that, and they put that, I believe, on a note.
Yeah, we had it as a condition of
No,
approval that it
condition
needs
of
to be.
approval, and it will be a
Drawing
deed
that I
restriction,
had.
and it will be a deed restriction as well.
Okay.
So the only change then to the conditions would be the requirement for the widening in the shoulder.
right.
Which we'll have to come back and, what you can do, Dustin, is, I know you want us to sign tonight, but we'll need to see the updated cross-section, and then that condition added. But what we can do is we can approve it this evening, and then if you get it back to the town,
Right.
they can come into the town
Sign it.
and sign
Yeah,
it.
'cause you're not gonna meet next month anyway, so.
Correct. At this
yeah.
point, we don't have at this time, we don't know. We still got
Okay.
a week or so to go,
Yep,
but
so we'll make
nothing's on-
changes and get you new Mylars. Yeah,
Yeah, and we've done that before. We just stopped in and signed, so
Sure.
kept it going.
appreciate that.
So you need to make your,
Any other, you guys all good? Good? Okay, so we just need a motion. Go ahead, Greg. You want me to do it?
Do we have to do these individually? or-
No.
you can either do them individually, or you can take them as a conglomerate, and that you basically have discussed it, and based on my memorandum and discussion at this meeting, and then add the final condition along with my conditions. So I would say you accept the findings as provided by the planner.
This is Article 9, right? Is this Article 9? What is the subdivision?
This is the subdivision review criteria.
Article 9, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so just say we've reviewed in accordance with Article 9.
With the
subdivision.
conditions as suggested, and with the addition of the last one.
Okay, I move that the applicant has complied with condition 9 with the,
Article 9.
Article 9.
I'm sorry, Article 9, with the, is it conditions?
Yep.
So noted as,
Condition, with the
Widening
6
the-
conditions of approval.
okay. The 6 conditions of approval,
As discussed. Done.
as discussed.
You got it.
I was gonna go through them one by one, but that's
No.
easier.
And I'll second it. All right, all those in favor?
3.
Opposed? Yeah, no one's opposed. All right,
All right, 3
Done.
votes. Thank you.
baby. Let's see what the front office says. I think we addressed your concerns.
I think we have
Yes,
some
thank
happy.
you very much.
You're very welcome.
Appreciate that.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
I'm sorry, yes, mm-hmm. There's a two-family, but it might not be part of the subdivision, that's the problem.
Well, and it doesn't change.
And it wouldn't-
It's
that's
4
right,
to
it
10
wouldn't change.
lots.
It's 4 to 10 anyway, but it wouldn't change.
Yeah, it wouldn't-
4 to 10 homes is the next standard that we're up to.
They use Alpha Man Road as the design access.
Yes, sir, but they can be up to 10 lots with the 16-foot.
yeah, wouldn't change it, even including that law.
Yeah,
Wouldn't change
even
it.
if we included it, it would not have changed the dimensions that they had to have.
But the comment was made during the hearing, that there's some type of garages out there, and that's not true. It's a baker's community out there.
Okay.
And Mrs. Alfred Pan also has an apartment in that.
Yeah, but that wouldn't count though.
And then the other piece is the speed. There's a tremendous amount of traffic
Can't help you with speed. Good luck.
I told him that.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Gotta rent it, have a cop.
We appreciate it.
Put him right in the corner. Speed. All right, second item of business is a request from the Loon Echo Land Trust for termination and abandonment of the subdivision that has been previously approved.
Yes, that actually came through, I think, in June, but somehow it got lost in the summer jungle here. So what they want to do is, obviously they acquired several lots from Hancock Lumber, and one was an actual subdivision. The difficulty for them is they're getting taxed on those lots, so they wish to rescind the approval. And to do that, we have a document that you'll have to sign, which will remove that from the registry.
Was this the Hancock subdivision? That
It was for 4 lots.
down by Kaniska?
Yes.
Rosewood.
So they own the
Oh,
down-
Pismire, it was Pismire Bluff. Was it?
Okay.
It was,
Okay.
it was a 4-lot subdivision, which
Right.
all had frontage on Coneska Road.
Road.
Oh,
I remember
And
that.
they just want to dissolve that so that they don't have to deal, they're nonprofit, they don't want to deal with the taxes on those residential lots. So essentially to do that, we have to go through this, I forgot what it's actually called.
Submission of,
Yeah,
I have it.
you have it.
Yeah.
But
I'm
we
all
have to
set.
go through that process, just so that it gets recorded in the registry, so that it gets taken off the record. Because as you well know, once a subdivision is approved, it goes into the registry and it's a record there forever, and those lots exist. This would allow the registry to basically take them off the record.
Got it. Any objections?
none, not from me.
So you have to make a
All right, so I
motion.
move that we dissolve the subdivision as requested by Loon Echo Trust. This subdivision have a name? Oh, it's the, Pismire Bluff
Pismire
subdivision.
Bluff, and I think it's on that document.
is it?
I think it's on the front page of that,
Yes, it is. Okay.
with the recording information and
Yep.
everything, and the date of the last approval.
Is there-
I'll second.
All right, all those in favor? Done. All right. We are on to future ordinance workshops.
Yes, and the big one there is obviously, you've got a memorandum from Bill Saucier in
Yep.
regards to our favorite topic, manufactured homes. I'll let Scott kind of explain this a little bit, but basically, it sounds to us that the information that Sheila provided you at the last meeting in totality is correct. We cannot not allow some type of manufactured home where we would a normal single-family, say, stick-built home. The question is, or the dilemma is, you can define what type of manufactured home you could have built, because there's 2 types. There's type 1, type 2. Obviously, you got modular and so on down the line. So you can restrict that. You just can't eliminate all of them. You have to allow a type of manufactured home to be on the same as you would a normal single-family or conventional single-family home, we'll call it.
So I came in kind of in the middle of this. What exactly is the goal? What was our concern to
The
get us down?
charge
path?
was from the town selectmen.
Right.
With regards to a petition that was put before them. Because what happened is there was a plot of land down off Panther Run that was in Village originally. When the rezoning for the shoreline zoning came in, it put it into shoreline zoning. Strangely enough, Village in our ordinance prohibits manufactured homes.
type
Type 1
Type 1,
manufactured homes. Shoreline zoning is wide open. It allows all manufactured homes. So there is a civil issue down there, I'll call it, where the homeowner wants to put in a manufactured home, and it's the neighbors are obviously opposed to it and have taken such action. It's gone all the way up to the select board, and now they want to take a look at, what is the best way to address this. Obviously, with them not having the expertise, it tumbled back down to you as the planning board as to provide them with guidance on how we address this.
Okay.
I think the original thought was we could just take it out of shoreline zoning, which I think what we've discovered is really the state statute doesn't really allow us to do that. Furthermore, because of Raymond's unique shoreline zoning being 600 feet back, that takes a huge piece of available development out of what could be constituted as affordable housing and gets us into another whole level of concerns. So I think at the last meeting Sheila provided you that says that, you know, we really didn't have the latitude to remove that language. I think the attorney has kind of suggested you have a little bit of latitude as to what type of manufacturing housing you can allow, but you cannot eliminate it completely. Is that correct?
Correct, yep.
And Scott, did you have some issues on what you could inspect and what you couldn't inspect?
Yeah, that's more because they're a manufactured housing. I don't have no jurisdiction on the inside of those. Those are inspected there by their inspectors. Therefore, it does not require, or I basically,
You're accepting their,
I have to accept, yeah, I accept what they're.
was that pre-76?
The type 1 is pre-76.
Okay.
Type 2 is post-76.
Nope.
Well,
No.
Type 1
What?
is after 76. Type 2 is modular housing.
But he refers to mobile homes now as type 1 and modular home as type 2.
2, correct.
Okay.
Yep, but there's,
And then there's two
well,
distinctions.
yeah, because it can be newer than, older than 76 and considered a mobile home. It's kind of confusing
Yeah.
because type 1 is actually what they term new mobile homes.
Okay.
And so there's a lot of terms floating out there
Yeah.
that it's hard to get them
And
straight.
I
but
think that's one thing that we were discussing with the board before you came back was try to, depending on which way we want to go, some definitions as to the types of manufactured homes. So underneath the definition of manufactured homes, we'd have kind of sub-definitions of what each one would
Right.
mean and how it, not how it applies, but just what it means.
Mm-hmm.
And then within, you know, we'll have to define.
yeah, because in shoreland zone, in the definition of a single family dwelling is the term mobile home to be accepted as a single family dwelling.
Well, but I think that both the state and the lawyer said yes.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, they're allowed, but right now, this current area is the issue used to be VR, which was not allowed.
Right.
And that's their concern, is wanting that, they want to, that brought back to us is there anywhere where we can not allow them in
Sure.
shoreline zoning? And would that mean now we would have to play with the definition in our land provisions for shoreline zoning? Because that definition specifically says a single family dwelling shall be considered a mobile home. Not verbatim, am I saying that, but that's the summary of it.
I kind of got the sense from the board that nobody really wanted to go down that path, though. Right, is that what? Yeah, so,
My question would be, do we need to change something by our own legal for the V? It's still,
Yeah, because
I think we should change that
right,
to allow
to allow
mobile homes.
well, I mean, that goes against the comprehensive plan of the town. They originally weren't allowed in the VR district, which is village residential. Mobile
Right.
homes were not allowed. That was in the comprehensive plan. One of the options is to, we
Wow. type 2.
we talked about a corridor that used to be village, the one that fell underneath this swap of zoning. Maybe keep it in that area rather than going out and branching out beyond the shoreland zoning. Whether it be, we talked about whether or not an overlay district would work or not.
But I think that was before we knew the state statute completely.
Yeah.
You know, the state statute throws a wrench into the whole thing now.
Right, and it even sounds like our ordinance to restrict is not legal
In the V.
in the V.
No, because the V allows modular housing type 2.
Oh, okay. All right. So there is one.
Yeah.
So the question is,
Okay.
you have control over the type of manufactured housing you can allow. So you could prohibit type 1 in the shoreline zone and allow, like you do in the village, type 2.
Right.
I think that's a reasonable way, and it's beneficial to the town to have that standard. The type ones, you know, they're semi-permanent, where a type 2, a lot of them you cannot tell from a stick-built house driving by.
The other issues is that if we go to shoreland zoning and not allow type 1, we have other things such as Indian Point. How would we address that?
Mm-hmm.
Don't know exactly how they're looked at. Are they looked at as type 1? Are they their own park model? And so you kind of got to look at that, how that'll affect some of those areas as well.
Well, I guess it would be grandfathered in, but they just wouldn't be able to continue to
Well,
build.
but they have,
But if they replace it and
Right,
a new one comes
yep.
in, what do you do then?
Yep.
I mean, those lots are small, that there's not a whole lot of room for other than those.
Mm-hmm.
Are they're all type 1s down there? I haven't.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I really couldn't tell you factual what type they are, because there are some what they call park models, and I have kind of asked around a little bit just exactly how they look at them. Are they their own classification, or are they considered a manufactured housing type 1?
or to Scott's point, which I think opens up another door maybe we don't want to go down, is you could require that the shoreline zoning that is basically Panther Run only allow the modular type 2. But that would require a special overlay zone, and that's gonna get into another whole layer.
Right.
So
We
I
worked
think
hard to get rid of all those.
I know, and I understand where the neighbors are coming from, because they had expectations that they didn't have to deal with, I'll call it the lesser standard manufactured home. I don't think they want any, but I think like to your point, the compromise is the type 2.
Because I mean, history-wise, it had always been VR, and then as of 2014, the state
Panther Run was considered a river segment.
is a river, so that kicked it all back into shoreland zoning.
All right, I think let's go that way.
Now, if we do that, do you also want to look at defining manufactured housing?
Yeah, I think we might as well get the
I
definitions.
think you need to go
Yeah.
through the type 1, the type 2, and even the modular,
Right.
because some modulars don't even fall into the manufacturing. They kind of, some of the modular homes now are stick-built.
Yep.
Yeah, then they still fall under that same manufacturing standards. Are inspected before they leave. Like I don't, even a modular home that comes in there, I still don't have jurisdiction inside there.
And some of those are pretty big, too.
Yeah, they're
So-
they look like a regular
They look like a
conventional
colonial home, some of
Yeah.
them.
So we're gonna update the definitions. We're gonna go with type 2
In the shoreline.
in shoreland, and then the type 1 in the V. Is that right? Is that?
No,
No.
type V would remain, type 2, it's already type 2 in V.
It's already type 2, okay.
So it'd be type 2 in shoreline zoning,
So there would not be any place where you could use type 1.
except, well, the residential, right?
Yeah, it would
The
be
rural
just
residential,
rural residential and rural.
which you have larger tracts of land.
Yeah.
Yep.
And like we've discussed, most of the time in the shoreline zone, it kind of almost polices itself because of the value of the property.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, because the whole Cape is under shoreline zoning district.
So while we're on zoning,
Okay.
I had a couple other things that I just wanted to throw out to the board. Do you want to go finish this one first?
I just want to know our timeline.
Yeah, 180 days.
When did that go in? July?
I think so.
Yes, I had just gotten back when they had that meeting.
Okay. So you have to January to council, so we'd have to act on that.
They had 6 months.
Yeah, I
It was
know.
6 months, and then they could extend it.
They can
Yeah.
extend it.
Right. But I don't think we should let it drag on, just let it drag on.
No.
But let's see, this is,
October. Technically, right now, we don't have anything on in November. I mean, we could come in for the workshop for this, or we could come in for a hearing on this. If you have the workshop in November, then you can come back for a public hearing in December, and then it can go immediately to the council.
but it's gonna have, it's gonna be an ordinance change, it's gonna have to go to public,
It's gonna have to go to town vote,
town vote.
regardless. So, I mean, one way or the other, they're gonna have to do something to extend this.
So, right, so why don't we start with then asking the selectmen when they want something brought forward to them?
Okay.
And then we'll backtrack it from when they want it.
'cause, yeah, you're right, any change has to go through. the
Yeah,
town.
so, I mean, it's no sense rushing it through if
Right.
it's just gonna sit now until the
Unless they
town
have a
meeting.
special
Unless
town,
there's- right.
town meeting, but I don't think there's any, I haven't heard of anything that's coming on a special town meeting.
No, my guess is they're gonna wanna extend this until the town meeting.
Which would be just about the right timing, another 180
Yeah.
days. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so now,
So now, the
That's
other
it.
two things that they're kind of clearinghouse issues. The sunset provision, we currently have it in the site plan. It's not in the subdivision ordinance, and it's throwing people for a ringer, you know, because they'll say, well, that doesn't apply because it's in the site plan ordinance. But even if it's in the site plan ordinance, it does refer to subdivisions. My suggestion would be, let's just get that language in the subdivision ordinance as well. That's a no-brainer.
that's a no-brainer.
The other one that we're seeing more, it's more with older subdivisions, and we think that going forward, we can cure this, is the request that we add street addresses on the recording Mylar for new subdivisions. Because when they come in, what often happens is people refer to them as the lot number,
Mm-hmm,
and that lot number doesn't necessarily match up with the tax lot number.
that's a great idea.
And when people take out CAP accounts or any kind of utility accounts, it's very confusing sometimes.
Yep.
And it gets juxtaposed and everything else. If we have it on the recording plat, then boom, that's what it is. We'd take it through Kayla, and she would assess the number right on the.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we don't see these very often. You know, we don't see new subdivisions.
Haven't
I've been
recent-
here 5 years. I think we saw one, which was Valley View, which was really an old one that we really rehashed.
Yeah,
So
but
most of
before
them-
you got here, we were at 2 a night.
Yeah, I see them now. But going forward, you know, I think that's just we put it in the standards. I think it's an easy way, and it's a convenient way for everybody.
No, that's a great idea, Jim. I've been in that problem myself with lot
Yeah,
numbers and
yeah.
not matching up. Then you throw in the association lot numbers,
Right.
and it really gets
Yeah,
confusing.
and you really need the street address, because
Right.
that's what the utility companies are really looking
Yep,
for.
that's a
So,
great idea.
okay. So we'll document where those would go, along with the sunset provision within the subdivision ordinance. And I don't have anything else, and like I said, I don't believe we have anything at this time scheduled. We do have some outstanding, have some findings of fact that we need to catch up on from some of the work we did this summer. I've got Westview. I don't know, I've got the findings of fact prepared, but I don't know if you've had a chance to look at it for Valley View, which would have been before you were here.
Okay, no, okay,
And then we have tonight's.
right.
So we should just process those and get those in. Even though we don't have the recorded plats back yet, we can at least process the findings of fact, just to kind of stay ahead of the
Mm-hmm.
curve. That's all I've got.
Move to adjourn.
Second. Done.